responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. The radical left is causing this problem. Not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games.
Well, there you have the President of the United States, Donald Trump, issuing a thinly veiled threat of counter-violence against what he refers to as the radical left. Now, his comments in the Oval Office this morning come in the wake of a deadly shooting that took place at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, in which one detainee was killed and 2 others were wounded. Now, a reporter asked the president who was to blame for the shooting. And I'm glad that the president of all people was the one to answer this, because he's always been so honest and factual, especially at times of tragedy. So let's hear what his response was.
The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it. And they better not get them energized, because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. Radical left Democrats are causing this problem. And it gets worse. It gets worse. And it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore. That will not be good for the radical left, and we don't want that.
Although it does sound like the president is egging that type of counter-violence on, which would be disastrous. And as far as the right being tougher than the left, I get where he's coming from. Although there is some irony to the president making that statement, considering the fact that he's now demanding a full-on investigation at the UN because an escalator stopped as he and his wife or the first lady were about to get on the escalator. Anyway, but moving on, Trump isn't the only member of his administration ratcheting up the inflammatory rhetoric. So immediately after the shooting yesterday, J.D. Vance, the vice president, also accused Democrats of inciting violence by simply criticizing ICE, meaning by simply practicing what the Constitution of the United States affords the American people. They are allowed to criticize the federal government, politicians, or anything they'd like, for that matter. But J.D. Vance appears to have a problem with that. Take a look.
The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens when Democrats, like Gavin Newsom did, say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. If your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
Let me be 1,000% clear here. If someone says ICE is planning to carry out a raid at the Home Depot parking lot in Northridge, California, and we're going to go there heavily armed and ready to shoot them, that is inciting violence. And that should be met with an immediate investigation, people getting arrested. You get the point. That is not protected by the First Amendment. Saying that a government official or a government agency is authoritarian is protected speech, especially if the government agency or the administration is engaging in authoritarian acts. I'll give you an example. So when you have members from the Department of Homeland Security going after students who have student visas, PhD students, if you will, who just happen to co-write a piece in their student paper that's critical of Israel's conduct in the Middle East, when DHS snatches that person up in broad daylight in plain clothes because they didn't like her opinion, that's authoritarian. But I'm not inciting violence by saying that. And you know, J.D. Vance, Cenk, is not a stupid person. J.D. Vance is a smart man. You might not like him, but you have to admit, educated man, smart man, he knows the difference. So the real question here is why he is exploiting a tragic event in this country to try to roll back constitutional rights that are afforded to every single American in this country? That's what we should be asking ourselves. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah. So he said there's a rhetorical assault on law enforcement. So I can't stand the hypocrisy on both sides. So in this case, yeah, there was a bit of a physical assault on law enforcement on January 6th. So look, guys, it's not to say, okay, that means the right wing is more guilty. It's just to say, you're kidding me? Like when it's convenient, both sides attack law enforcement and then go, oh, the other side's doing it. If you say they didn't attack law enforcement on January 6th, you're literally blind. And I feel bad, and you can't hear, you can't see anything. Did you not see the videos? It's absurd to say they didn't attack law enforcement. So we're a fair show. This is also attacking law enforcement. So obviously left and right are doing it.
To be fair, Cenk, I really want to be fair and not hide the fact that he also said this. So to be fair to Vice President Vance, he also claimed that political violence is, he said it's not a both sides problem.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
Not a both sides problem. Yeah. All right, so now let's go to others. Okay, so I can give you dozens of right-wing shootings, complete with manifestos. I am a right-wing neo-Nazi, and I would like to start a race war. I went and shot up these people in a black church because I hate black people. I went and shot up these Latino folks in Texas because I am against immigrants. I am a right-winger. I hate them, and I want to murder them, okay? How about Gabby Giffords? We all forgot about Gabby Giffords, a Democratic congresswoman shot in the head. So look, guys, I'm not saying the right is more guilty, although it is a literal fact that there's been much more right-wing violence. But now there is left-wing violence, and I hate it. I despise it. I despise the violence on both sides. But this obvious liar, and including Trump too, oh, it's only the radical left doing it. The right's never done it. Of course that's not true. Come on, please don't tell me that you're that blind that you can't see it. So then he says, that's why you can't criticize anything we're doing as authoritarian. Well, what happens when you do things that are authoritarian? Well, we have to just go, oh, okay, since we wouldn't want to cause any violence, I'm never allowed to criticize you? Well, that's pretty convenient.
Very convenient.
Okay, so what happens if Democrats get in charge? And they go, no, you can't criticize me for being authoritarian. So I'm going to tread on you. Hey, you're a right winger. I think you might do violence. You guys have done more than the left wing. I see the FBI's reports on it. So that's it. I'm locking you guys up. Don't say I'm authoritarian. If you say I'm authoritarian, I'm going to lock you up twice as much. I'm going to take away all your rights because you're not allowed to speak anymore in this country. What happened to freedom of speech? So you know why people call you authoritarian? Because you send ICE masked up with no badges in unmarked vehicles. Scares the living crap out of people. That's not how we do things in America. And now masked men in unmarked cars with no badges are going around raping women. Because that's nuts. You know what we do in America with law enforcement? Not a right or a left issue. You show a badge. That gives us faith that that is the government and that you should not assault that guy. You should follow his orders, etc. And then if they don't follow the orders, then you can get all mad. But what if I show up to your house with no mask, no badge, and go, that's it, I'm taking your wife and your daughter. Let's go.
You're going to think that it's a kidnapper.
And you're going to shoot the guy. The right-wingers are going to shoot that guy more than the left-wingers.
That's why it's important for law enforcement to identify themselves. And just to give you more details on what Cenk was alluding to earlier, because I don't want anyone to think that Cenk is saying that the ICE agents are raping women. That's not what's happening. Because of the fact that ICE agents have not been identifying themselves, disgusting predators have used that to their advantage to essentially pose as ICE agents. And then, there have been specific cases of women who have been kidnapped and raped.
And so there's no excuse for mask and no badge. No excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, the ICE is in danger because they're arresting gangs. Cops arrest gang members every single day in America. And they don't wear masks, and they show their badges. That's what we do in America. We don't get scared of gangs and criminals go, oh, that's it. Once you start covering up a mess, this thing's on a road to disaster. So no deal, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. We're not going to stay muted and not rhetorically and politically fight back because you are threatening us. And what Trump said there was a definite threat. Okay, you can go to plausible deniability and you can go, well, technically he didn't say that the right wing should do that. He said he'd be concerned if the right wing did that. But he said it in a way that was super clearly a threat. Now, you can disagree with me and say it's an interpretation. That's fine. But I got ears and I got eyes. So I saw it, and he's like, well, I mean, the right wing would be much more vicious. You don't want that left, radical left. It's all the radical left's fault. No, it's your fault. You're the one driving up division. You're the one saying, left, 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 left. Okay? Oh, I'm going to come in and bring in the military, etc. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being too critical of the president? Okay. Oh, no, I know that's not allowed anymore. That's not allowed anymore from the guy who ran on freedom of speech. So, guys, we are very balanced on policy, but I'm not going to tolerate anyone on the right or the left taking away speech rights, doing authoritarian crap, and then saying, oh, I saw some two super questionable dudes who conveniently engraved stuff on their bullets, and because of that, I'm taking away all your rights. No deal. And by the way, Trump should never talk about low IQ people. A moron of epic proportions.
Okay.
And then did you notice? I'm sorry, but I'm going to say, did you notice every time he talks about low IQ people, I didn't think this was real. And now I see it. Almost every time it's a minority. All right, go ahead, Anna.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem similarly chastised Democrats, saying this shooting must serve as a wake-up call to the far left, and their rhetoric about ICE has consequences, comparing ICE day in and day out to the Nazi Gestapo, the secret police, and slave patrols has consequences. Now, in reality, these ramped-up attacks on Democrats and the left have been escalating for a while now. So, for instance, back in August, Stephen Miller made a pretty inflammatory statement, and I want you to take a look at what that was.
The Democrat Party does not fight for, care about, or represent American citizens. It is an entity devoted exclusively to the defense of hardened criminals, gangbangers, and illegal alien killers and terrorists. The Democrat Party is not a political party. It is a domestic extremist organization.
Unacceptable.
This country is not served well by people like this.
Okay,
That seem to have way more interest in getting Americans to hate each other than anything else. It's pretty gross.
Because, by the way, Anna, it works because I now despise Stephen Miller.
I mean,
I loathe Stephen Miller. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to say that? Have my speech rights been taken away? Okay, because of some theoretical supposed left-wing shooter or something? And what if I said the same thing Stephen Miller said about Republicans? They're a domestic terrorist group. They're the ones that are causing all the problems. He'd say, oh my God, Cenk, you're causing violence. Don't say that about the right wing. In fact, I don't want you to be allowed to say that about Republicans. But I can say it about Democrats all day long. And I can drive violence towards you. I can use the government to take away your rights. And so burn the Constitution and just have us all hate each other and say despicable things like that about half the country. Stephen Miller is one of the most loathsome people who has ever been in the United States government. Am I allowed to say it, Stephen? Am I allowed to? Oh, no, I know. Muslim. Don't let him say anything about foreign governments. Don't let him say anything about Trump or any of his stupid cronies. We are 1,000% against violence. Everyone should be against violence. But saying that we're going to take away the right wing's rights or the left wing's rights is un-American. And Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are un-American. I hope that's clear enough.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.